Here's Mr. Clark.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the November 21st Community Services Committee. Excuse my voice. Don't adjust your dial at home, please. It is me. I'm struggling with a cold here for the last week or so. Could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Seroy?
Present.
Ms. Weber? Present. Mr. Stauffenberg? Present. Mr. Vickery? Present. Mr. Tholen? Ms. Polk? Mr. Snipes? Mr. Hildebrand? Ms. Evans? Mr. Payton? Present. Ms. Peters? Present. Ms. Dunbar? Ms. Parker? Present. Mr. Fairfield? Present. Mr. Wheeler? Present. Mr. Lear? Present. We have a quorum.
Do we have any public comment? Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, I will need a motion to approve the minutes from September 19th. Mr. Vickery and Mrs. Peters. All in favor, it's voice vote. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I'd like to welcome to the floor County Clerk, Mr. Bruce Clark. I need a motion to combine and approve Mr. Clark's monthly reports from September and October. Mr. Payton and Mrs. Parker. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, yes, let me get you here.
No,
on the monthly report, I'd just point out that in terms of revenue for the month, we're up $3,500, and for the year, I think our projected revenue is $321,000, and we should be above that, so by quite a bit. We have a change of polling places for Roma 1. The CR Auto Group that we use for Roma 1 is boarded up. So we've located the church across the street, Eastridge Church of the Nazarene, at 2679 East Court Street, that would welcome us as a polling place. They're very accommodating. I would point out that it is out of the township, but it's on the township line. It's across the street. So I would recommend that we need to move out of a boarded up building.
I have a motion by Mr. Vickery. Second, Mrs. Peters seconded. All in favor, or yeah, we get a voice vote. All in favor of moving the Roma 1 polling place location, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries.
We did have an election on November 7th. Did everybody enjoy and participate? Well, it was a school election, and here to tell what we do every odd year, every couple of years, is Dr. Greg Murphy. Greg worked with our Chief Deputy Dan Hendrickson to have another election for school board, and Dr. Murphy will explain what we do, and I think what we've done for the last 10 years. So it's an interesting project.
My twins participated in that project. They really enjoyed it. I tried to talk him into be a precinct committeeman, but he didn't want to do that.
That's how we start. That's how we recruit our election judges.
No, this really is one of those projects that I think Bruce and I really enjoy, but this was Bruce's brainchild 10 years ago, and reached out to me, and we've been able to reach out to the schools. But Bruce and now the county clerk, Lisa Fancher in Iroquois County, make available election machines so that the students are talking more about electing and casting votes and more about the electoral process, and that has been exciting. We'll have election judges, we'll have discussions on electioneering going on in the schools, and this is just one piece, though, that Bruce has, because he kind of has a three-prong approach to getting youth and young people to be engaged in the electoral process. So this is one piece, but he's also, recruiting high school students to be election judges, working with ONU, getting the kids registered as voters. And they did a study and found that students that interact with Bruce and his projects are more likely to engage the first time that they're able to be an elector. So it really is working. But the funny thing is, I got an email from one of our teachers, and he was sharing that the students came in and they were so nervous, and afterwards the student came up to the teacher and said, I was so nervous about voting today, and it was so easy. And it's that is probably one of the biggest successes, because it can be a barrier to that person when they're 18 being the first time voter. So I think that's where we see the power in this. But we need something real to vote for. So as a region, I passed out the billboard contest. So we kind of tie this with the Life Education Center, and 7th and 8th graders choose which billboard is going to be the winning billboard for the year. And the importance of the election is that something follows. We elect, we make a choice, and then something happens. So this month and next month, you're going to be seeing this billboard as the winning billboard that will be throughout both counties, promoting healthy lifestyles and decreased drinking and alcohol prevention. So it's been a great project. So, yes.
Mrs. Weber.
Where was the student from that provided this?
I'm going to have to...
That's okay. It just would be interesting.
To take a look. I believe it was from Bourbonnais Elementary, though. And if you go to the ICANN website, the information is still there,
Okay.
because we use that as the website to engage the kids then after the fact, so they could know how they did and what the polling numbers were.
Thank you.
So,
What's nice about this is it's a partnership that we've had for a long time, where we partner with with Dr. Murphy and the regional school. They have enthusiasm for the project, which makes it really successful, and it's been a fun partnership. So thank you, Dr. Murphy. I wanted to say good job. Yeah.
so it's been good.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
It's great we can bring learning experiences through the voting to the county clerk's office.
Yeah, no electioneering that I know of, so, right. Right. Yeah.
Give 'em a chance.
And I certainly want to thank, Dan Hendrickson for programming all the machines. We don't have any cost other than his time, so that's a good process. And we also, too, recruit, we get an interest among teachers that participate in it and try to recruit them for being an election judge. Moving on to other office, general office information. Yesterday, we delivered microfilm of the county board records, county board minutes to the Illinois State Archives that we did in a project back a few months ago. We microfilmed from 1979 to present, and we sent original records to Springfield. They're going to duplicate those and store them in archives. It's going to be at no cost to us, so we'll have some cost savings there. And Carl Moore is really involved in the Illinois State Archives. And I'll add his comments. He says the County Board of Supervisor minutes are the best resources we have for county history. Every county in Illinois, all 102, are unique in their own ways, and Kankakee County certainly has an interesting history. He believes that our county may be the first to provide access to those records from the origin of the county to current. So he was very appreciative of the efforts that we put in to have our records stored in another site for it's a preservation of that record, and were there a fire or something like that, we do have duplicate records off site, so that was important. Any questions on that before I move on to really what I came today for, is to talk about
Just real quick. So our records start at 79 as far as,
1853,
but what you just sent was 79.
right, 79 to current,
Okay, so the rest of it has all been archived down there as well?
right.
Okay. And they make that online searchable, or do you have to go down there and use the
You got to go
microphone?
down there. They have an IRAD service where they will take those. Our IRAD location is Bloomington,
Okay.
Illinois, but at universities, so, but it's generally you have to go down there and search. They don't have an online search.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And we do have those records, that microfilm from 1853. We've used it before when I think the county was studying for a grant. They needed to give our answer some questions on our origin. So, any other questions? Filing period, of course, is coming up November 27th through December 4th, and we certainly encourage all filers to make sure that their petitions are complete. They have adequate number of signatures. They're notarized, and we would encourage any candidate to make sure that they pay particular attention to the filing requirements. We have those packets online if you have any questions. Anything on the filing period? Voter registration. Voter registration is an important component of having good elections. Voter registration is the foundation for what we do in the election process. It's the beginning. And if you have a good voter registration system that's current, that's complete, that's accurate, that will help you prepare for a good election. The history of voter registration, as you know, we still have the deputy registrar system where deputy registrars, or you can come to the county clerk's office or libraries and register in front of a deputy registrar. We still have that system. It's grown a lot over from NVRA. In 1993, the Motor Voter Act, if you'll recall, to additional requirements for mail-in registrations, Great Spirit registrations. It grew to same-day registrations. Then it went on in 2015 to do online registrations. And now we have seen automatic voter registration signed into law in August of 2017. Governor Rauner signed the automatic voter registration bill that allowed for automatic registration when you go to certain facilities. What that means is a huge increase in the number of registrations that the county clerk's office processes. Most recently through the online registration, the ERIC system, the Electronic Registration Information System. As of November 1st, we saw a dump of 1,500 voters. And Dan Hendrickson processes those through the IVERS system, along with another staff person. And on November 1st, we got 1,500. I think they're down to 300, Dan, is that right? Yeah, 300. But so it takes a long time. It's going to take a month to process that. Automatic registration, again, signed into law in August of this year, will be effective for anybody that walks into a driver's license facility. They will automatically be registered to vote unless they opt out. And then agency registration will occur in July of 2019. Agencies will come on. State agencies, actually there are 4 state agencies. There's the Department of Human Services, the Employment Securities, DNR, and Professional Regulation. In addition, the law allows for the State Board of Elections to appoint certain agencies for automatic registration. So when you go into any of these agencies, you'll be automatically registered to vote unless you opt out. This, and I'll let Dan comment, this is, as Secretary of State, how many will come into our roles from the Secretary of State's office? Now in Illinois, it's estimated that there are 2.2 million people that are eligible to register to vote that aren't. From the reports I've seen, is that it will bring on 1 million new voters onto the registration rolls from reports I've read. What does that mean in Kankakee County? How many people are not registered to vote in Kankakee County? It's 35,000 as of the last count, that the number that I received from the Secretary of State, that aren't registered. So we have the potential of those new registrations just through the Secretary of State's office coming on a line that will need to be processed.
How many registered voters do we have currently?
We have 63,000 at last count that I saw, 63,000 plus maybe 3,000 inactive. Dan, how many is that? About right?
Last time I checked, our records are showing about 66,000 active registered voters and about 3,000 inactive.
Okay. Now, probably a lot of those will be duplicates, and it's my understanding from Kyle Thomas at the State Board of Elections that the State Board will try to process those, but ultimately it's up to each election authority to add those voters onto the rolls. Now, probably we won't see 1 million people throughout the state or 35,000 in Kankakee County immediately added to the rolls. Unlike Oregon, that saw when they implemented automatic voter registration, they had about I think Oregon had, 250,000. They did an automatic dump. We'll process as people come in. One of the impact, though, is the real ID requirement by the Secretary of State's office. There will be people that still use that standard ID will have to opt in. People that come in for the real ID, the new driver's license that allows you, to fly anywhere in the continental United States, the people will have to opt out of that. They will be the ones that will be automatically registered to vote. So it'll be a while before those come on, but they're going to come on. And, there will be a big number to handle. There's another provision of the new law that allows we'll see. It's automatic cross match or automatic matching of registrations. It's automatic updates from ERIC. They're going to compare the ERIC data with the Secretary of State, and that'll be dumped to us actually by the end of the year. So all in all, there's a lot of registrations coming on. The point of this is we need to look ahead and be able to manage that data, be able to process those registrations. If we're taking a month now to process 1,500, that's fine where we'll not have an election, but as the elections come on, it'll be a busy time. So we've started to look at a new voter registration system that can better handle and process voter registrations coming. Back in September, I looked at a system. I was invited to look at a system with Platinum that it's user friendly. I think it'll more adequately process the registrations that we need. Our existing system, we picked it up in 2006, and with Dan's abilities, we've managed to transition using the data to no ink poll pads. But they're from California based. This new system is Illinois based, and they came in October and showed it at the office. Actually, we had a staff member, Lori Mullet, go down yesterday to Springfield because it's implemented in Sangamon County to look at that, and it's a much easier system. So I wanted to start the conversation to let you know, we're looking at a new voter registration system that can handle our load down the road. Dan, you want to describe it a little bit, because Dan is right now, he's solely responsible for processing IVRS, the Illinois voter registration system. Registrations coming out of that. And Dan, would you tell them a little bit about the new system briefly?
Excuse me. Good morning. Basically, the new system, what we have to do when we're processing our IVRS transactions is that we need to print off that copy of that move for that person who's changed address within Kankakee County or outside Kankakee County into ours, print off a physical copy, process it, scan the records in. With the system that we're looking at, it will be able to pull that data directly from IVRS and put it into the voter registration system. So you will remove some of that physical manual processing that takes place in that, and probably speed up transactions 60-75%. So it will become a more efficient mechanism, or can be a more efficient mechanism. That doesn't, we'll still be able to check that data to make sure that, we've got the person coded in the correct address and all of that information. We'll have a scanned copy on the computer, but we won't have to physically be doing that scanning. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if I'm hearing right, can you take this data dump with hundreds, maybe thousands of names and information and go through them one at a time as a process, and verify and then move to the next and the next? Is that kind of what we're looking at, rather than this manual process that you would just describe?
Right. Yeah, I think our existing process, and Dan can describe it better, you pull it down, you make copies, you scan those copies, you load them back up, you're going back to 2 different systems. What this system does is pulls it down to one system. And it's user-friendly. Multi-users, more users than I think that we can accommodate now, so.
A few more questions. Is this monthly fee-based, or is this a one-time allocation, or how does the costing work on something like this?
Well, what's the cost?
Yeah.
First of all,
It's always a cost. Technology is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
yeah. A couple of things. First of all, this cost is their maintenance cost is reimbursed by the state. It is disappointing because the state mandates this system to be online with Springfield, and they say they're going to reimburse the cost, and there are years that they don't because they don't have a budget. So that's very discouraging. That's very disappointing. But there is a mechanism in place now, a funding mechanism going forward for the next 2 fiscal years to provide reimbursement for these maintenance agreements. Number one, it's reimbursable sometimes. The other thing with the actual cost, we pay on our maintenance agreement right now with our present company, we pay this year it's $32,000. I think the contract is based on the number of registered voters. So you increase that registered voters, your cost is going to increase. This system that we're looking at is less than our existing cost. Now, I mean, we haven't gotten down to contracts or anything like that. I have asked the state's attorney to review that existing voter registration system, and we've had responses back from the state's attorney on his view, civil. But it's, I would hope that would be in the, I don't know, and I don't want to give a figure, but I mean, less than 30,000.
And I guess follow up. So when we currently have to pay for a system that we get stiffed on from time to time from the state. So it's not an increase in spend, it's replacing with a less costly solution that still we may get stiffed on, but we have to have something.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
Mrs. Weber.
I was wondering, is the reason that you're automatically registered at the driver's license, though the other 4, is because the information is the same that would be needed to be a voter? Is that why?
Yeah, what they do is they send that to the State Board of Elections, or even online registrations between both agencies, and capture the information that is necessary for us to review to allow for voter registration. You want to describe the mechanisms that you would anticipate for voter registration, Dan, for Secretary of State? I mean, they're going to just ship that to the State Board of Elections. And
right. That's
a
a
signature.
conversation that's going to exist largely between the Secretary of State's office and the Illinois State Board of Elections. We're the end user of that product, but they will be harvesting the name, address, date of birth, driver's license, or state ID number. Probably, if they've got it, the last 4 digits of the social. So that will be all the data, and they'll have a digitized copy of the signature of the person through either their driver's license or their state ID. So we'll have everything that we need through that.
That's okay, isn't it? That's good.
Yes.
You have somebody in the back, Mr.
Mr. Vickery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How often does that happen, Dan? Is that something that's ongoing all the time?
Do we receive data from the
Yeah.
state? Every day. Every day.
So that,
But it's not the driver's license transactions that we get every day. We get the driver's license transactions. We receive physical cards from the driver's license facility. They send them out on a daily basis. The state sends them to us. We probably receive them weekly. That will eliminate that transition period of mailing. So if effective July 1st, when driver's license facilities are automatically, registering people to vote, if I go in July 1st and I need to update my driver's license or get a new driver's license, that data, we will have that data in Ivers the next day.
so the rules will continually update.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Lear.
Thank you. As you get a new registration, excuse me, it would be typical to expect, at least in a residential setting, that there's somebody that's moved out as well as somebody that's moved in. Is there something you have to do to check if someone's moved out?
Well, I think the volume, first of all, the volume that we get isn't just new registrations. It's people that are changing their address, and people are always moving. That accounts for the high volume. And we also have matching between agencies on people that have moved. And specifics, Dan, could you add to that?
Certainly. One of the things that Ivers currently provides, and the volume on that will increase as well with automatic voter registration, is once, so let's say I registered to vote in Will County. Once they process my registration in Will County, it will check the state's database and say, oh, you're previously registered in Kankakee County. Kankakee County will then receive a notification saying, Dan's up here in Joliet now, so process him accordingly. So it's not just additions, changes, but there will be deletions as well.
Mrs. Peters.
Does that address moving out of the state? Does that address moving out of the state?
The online registration system does not. However, there are a couple of programs that the state uses on a semi-annual basis. One of them is ERIC, which there are 20 states that are participate in ERIC. And Crosscheck, you may have heard about that in the news. That is a handful of states as well. Indiana is one of those where we will receive data from people that have apparently moved to another jurisdiction. That doesn't necessarily mean that we see that, we automatically cancel that person. We'll send that person a notification saying, hey, our records show that you're in Indiana. Is that accurate? If they respond to that, then we can cancel their registration if they're in Indiana. Otherwise, they would get placed in our inactive file if they don't respond. Does that make sense?
Mr. Payton.
Yeah, thanks. If I physically move from a location, how many days can I actually vote from the old location? Was that clear?
Well, I think I understand what you're getting at. If you move
If I move
from your home,
physically,
there's provisions that you can
still vote at the old
still
address.
vote at your old address through well, you would through the fail-safe method.
Depending on when you
Yeah.
moved,
Mhm.
it would make a difference on what you would be entitled to vote.
But with same-day registration, you can go
Right.
to the polling place on election day to your new location and register at that new location. But either way, you're not disenfranchised. So.
Right.
So Sam, you could vote
No.
at home and then move and then go to vote at the new place the same day on election day.
But you
Early and often.
Yeah, but you were wise enough. You were wise enough and approved the e-poll books that would not allow for that. So
All right, well, that's good.
Right.
This is Weber.
It's still voter driven though. If I never change my address but move away, you don't know. I can keep voting.
No, I mean, ultimately, what we do, we send out voter ID cards every 2 years. So when that comes back from the post office, it's a non-forwardable card. And, then we're required to send out a forwardable card to say, you need to correct your registration. We've got information that you moved.
One of the things I remember as a voting judge is people would, because in Herscher we knew where they lived, they would come with a driver's license from Shabance, and now they live in Herscher. So this will be fixed, right? Because if they never get a new driver's license, that won't be fixed.
Well, I mean, first of all, you can initiate your change in registration on your own. On the
Right.
back of the ID card, you can write your new address.
If they wish to.
Right. And I would point out that you can't go back if you've moved, more than, for a period of time out of your place and want to go back to your old polling place, and you've moved there more than, 30 days, you can't vote at your old location because you're signing an affidavit that says, I swear that I live at this address.
Oh, that.
So, you don't want to go back to your old location. There are provisions to do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Snipes.
But isn't it true, it's depending upon what your actual domicile, what you consider your actual domicile. You could probably live in New York, but if your actual domicile is still in Kankakee, for those individuals that have to get apartments or live in other areas, but they say that this is my home domicile, then they can come back and vote or do an absentee ballot there. Is that not correct?
Well, certainly, I mean, the election code says it's where you consider your permanent where you permanently reside, whether there are students that, may move back and forth. There's people move back and forth to Florida, but it's where you consider your permanent residence address. Certainly, you can't vote in two different locations
Right.
for the same election. And it's, we see that with college students. Most, they can certainly register here and vote here or keep their registration back in their hometown.
Well, I think this committee would like to see the numbers of what the new program would cost compared to the old program. And are you in contract with the old program to current to keep that for a certain amount of years? Maybe we can judge it better when you get actual numbers.
Yeah. The opinion from the state's attorney's office civil division is we can, get out of the existing contract with a written course by a letter at, allowing 30 days. So that's not an issue. And I'd point out, the company that we've been with has been around for a long time. It is out of state, so they have a lot of different states and jurisdictions to deal with. We're certainly not the biggest. We're probably one of the smaller ones, and so if there's program changes, though, with that old company, it's difficult to get. The newer company is Illinois-based. They're familiar with the automatic voter registration program. And in terms of cost, Dan, you want to add anything else that I had mentioned? I mean, under 30,000 compared to 32 or 33. We don't have a contract. We haven't seen a contract. We aren't looking at a contract.
You're correct, and I don't know that can add anything like you said. They're a company that knows Illinois. They're hungry, and I think having Kankakee would be beneficial to both parties. Not necessarily advocating for it, but
Yeah.
I can certainly see the positives with this system.
Yeah, and there's only like 3 companies in Illinois that provide a voter registration system. There's, maybe a Cook and have their own homegrown, but primarily 3-4 companies. I would point out a couple of things if I could. Number one, this system has the potential for taking tax codes, geocodes, matching those with voter registration. With same-day registration, it's important that may be automatically done, and I think the capability for that system is out there. And also, I think it's important that you are aware of all of the information, and I've taken a little extra time, but it's important that you're aware of all of this information and that you would, agree with us if that's the correct course of action, and be supportive of it like you have with the e-poll books and so many other systems, the new electronic systems. So this would be a group decision. So,
Mr. Wheeler?
Just the term on the agreement, I know you haven't seen, but do they go in 3-year cycles, 5-year cycles, year to year?
Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it, okay,
Yep.
all right. And other counties in Illinois, do they have get 10, 15, 5? I'm just curious what their other relationship is.
I haven't, in terms of the contractual period.
No, just like who? I don't need names.
Reference.
What other
Are they
counties?
reckon with 10 other counties or?
Yeah, Sangamon has it. Sinclair County has it. A lot of the smaller downstate counties, and I think what they're looking for too is to work with somebody that has some good experience with voter registration systems, such as Dan. Adams County has it. Clinton County has it. Fayette County has it. Franklin County, Hardin County. Marion, Monroe, Pulaski, Randolph, Sangamon, as I said, St. Clair, Union, Wayne. Those are the counties.
There's large ones there and there's smaller ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Here's and in terms of price on other ones, we have looked at some of the other systems that other companies prices for LaSalle County. We pay $39,000 for a maintenance agreement. LaSalle County is paying for their firmware hardware from $59,000. Will County is $60,000. Another county I think is like $80,000. So it's I think lower priced.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Clark?
Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bruce. Okay, we'd like to bring up the recorder, Lori Gadbois, and I need a motion to combine and approve her monthly reports from September and October that are in your packet. Mr. Snipes, Mr. Payton. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Diane, you want to switch me? Good morning. For the benefit of some of the newer board members and a refresher for some of the others that have been with me for the past 9 years, I just wanted to kind of update you on the Recorder's Office, what we do, and how we're out there on the web. Not sure any of you have ever looked at my website, so I just wanted to give you a basic tutorial on the Recorder's website. So basically, you see the home page. It gives a historical narrative about recording, Kankakee County, and things like that.
It's a lovely picture of you.
Thank
by the
you.
way.
And I apologize, I am not good with a laptop. So let's see if I can do this. Sorry. Okay, there we go. So basically, like I said, that's a narrative. Talks about how recording property came about and why it's so important. You'll see over here on the right, there's some buttons and basic information. I don't know if all of you know this, but the Recorder's Office is the repository for the military separation papers, meaning your DD-214s. So when our men and women come home and they are honorably discharged, they are given one set of very important papers that explains their service to our country. Those papers can be recorded in my office or any county recorder's office, and they're considered a secure repository for those papers. Anytime they ever need a copy of those papers, a certified copy for maybe getting a loan, going back to school, having services at Abraham Lincoln, they would get that certified copy from my office. And we proudly do that for them at no charge. The next thing you're going to see is online access. When I came into office, we were not on the web. We were not accessible to anyone other than those who walked in the doors of our office. We were a busy office then. We're still busy today, but we're busy different now. There's different methods and ways you can retrieve information that's accessible through our computer system. Currently, we are 1988 to current for information online. For many people, the direct search right here is the easiest, fastest, and free. Okay, where's it going? There we go. So quickly, you want to see if your property, you refinanced your home. You want to make sure that paperwork got filed, or you're looking for the release of mortgage on your property because you know you paid your house off. You want to make sure that happened. It's very easy and simple. It's last name, first name, no commas. My poor husband gets to be my guinea pig. And you just hit search. Then a whole bunch of different information will come up, along with recorded dates, document numbers, the party names, party types, and then document types. So you'll see there's a whole gamut of information available to you. Doesn't hurt to go home and practice this and just take a look at yourself if you'd like, or you're always welcome to come into my office. I have 5 public computers. Be happy to teach you and show you around on how to maneuver this. This site actually is getting a little bit of a facelift come January 1, along with the other site called Laredo, which is our subscription based. So that gives you a little more information there. And then we have our basic page called recording fees. As you know, this committee and the full county board has agreed to going to predictable fees. This page is going to change come January 1. So all this information actually is going to be changing, but it's still a point of information and helps people figure out what it costs to do what in our office. The online tax search is a direct link to the treasurer as well as the GIS system. We have a direct link to them and the county clerk. We're very interchangeable with services that people need, from my office to the assessor's office to the county clerk's office. So it's really important that we don't make things more difficult for people. So we have these links so that we are accessible to them, or our people can be more accessible. The other thing I wanted to hit on today is what we call our property fraud alert system, and I've talked to you about this. I had a great opportunity with the assessor's office. When the assessment notices went out, we had about 30,000 property fraud alert notice flyers that went with the letters, and we got a great response from the public because of that. And to give you an idea, as of today, we have 1,530 subscribers for Property Fraud Alert. Before the mailing went out, we had under 1,000. So people pay attention to their mail. That's a really good thing. My vendor is doing a little test with my office and set me up with a little kiosk of an iPad that's mounted to my counter just for Property Fraud Alert. Some people they want to do it. They don't have a computer to do it, but they don't want to call us to do it because they don't want to give us their information. They want to do it privately. So this way you can come in, just tap the screen and do it yourself. So it's pretty cool. I encourage you again to come in and see that. There will be a little press release going out to talk further about the value and importance of Property Fraud Alert and why you should sign up for it. Okay? So this page right here through my website, you can do it yourself, like I said, at home. These are all the different counties and states that it's available through. So if you have property in more than one county in Illinois, take a look at that, because only your registration is only good in Kankakee County. Okay? This is again, I apologize, I'm not a laptop person. You're going to agree. They do not sell the information. This is strictly a secure and great opportunity for you to be able to get a notification if anything is recorded in my office in your name. Okay? You would fill that out and then just hit save and it's done. Okay? Take that away. And then there's a frequently asked questions page. Obviously, people still don't quite know what we do, why we do it until they need us. So please take a few minutes to review that and go through it. Again, like I said, there's going to be some changes coming for January 1 because of predictable fees, different things like that, and some of the legislation. So, all right. So with that, I hand it out to everyone at their, I think everyone. Andy, did you get one?
Here, I got one here.
Okay. I'll get them to you guys. I just wanted you to be aware of what's going on and how we work in our office. So I just gave you kind of a 5-year snapshot of revenue to the general fund and then general fund expenses from the recorder's office. I do have 2 funds, as you know. I have the general fund that the county board graciously gives me, and then I have the computer fund that I accumulate dollars every time we record a document that goes into a restricted fund, and I do have a small budget against that as well too to help run my office. So, but just to give you an idea, bottom line, this year obviously is not complete yet. I have 1 more month left, but in the last 5 years, it's been $2,111,000. $2,111,271 turned over. $663,000 was for expenses, so about a third. Cost my office about a third to be ran off of the general fund expenses or general fund revenue that I bring in. I also want to remind you, I don't know how close you pay attention to the report you received from me, but on the back page, I do give you an annual volume of documents that are recorded in our office. Currently, we're at 13,259 for the year. Obviously, we still have 2 more months because that's based on calendar year. And on top of that, the backlog indexing project that we've been working on, we have completed 1988. That was 13,598 documents that we imaged ourselves, indexed ourselves, and verified ourselves. So we are now working on 1987, and we will be putting in that complete year of documents and images into the system. That is for those searchers out there that don't want to come in and visit me on a daily basis and need to do historical searches. So we'll be doing that. And at this time, I'd love to take any questions you might have.
Snipes.
I'm assuming because of the $180 million Nucor project that there's going to be another boost or surge.
I hope so. Actually, you know, the purchase of Alabama Metals was already through. We're done with that. We're hoping now with the expansion, just like with CSL, more people are going to want to come and live in our county. So we're hoping to see a positive growth from that. But homes are selling, and they're selling fast right now is what we're seeing. So things don't stay on the market, I guess, in certain areas for very long. So that's a good thing. And then commercially, you know, we've been seeing some really nice things happen as well, too. So it's good. Times are good. We'd like to see them more. And just on another positive note, because of the predictable fee change come January 1, based on just the base number of recordings of 13,000, we're looking at about a $95,000 to $105,000 increase to the general fund for next year, based on that. So we got to keep going up instead of down, and it'll happen.
Mrs. Peters.
Can you put an announcement on your website that says these are the fees now, these will be the fees after January 1st?
December 1, there's going to
Okay.
be an announcement saying, come January 1, that we are going to predictable fees based on the legislation, blah, blah, blah. We've already done all the proper postings and mailings to everyone physically from any documents that come into my office, go out with a notification. Then there'll be a website notice going up December 1.
Like if I were looking at it, maybe I should get in there by December 29th.
Yeah.
So, you know, just a comparison. It was this, it will be this.
Well,
Or that could be.
yes, that's good and that's bad, because with predictable fees, it's a flat fee. There's no page count.
Right.
Today's fee is a base fee with page count. So you really have to think about that. Where's your benefit? They might be wanting to stay till after January 1,
Okay.
depending on what type of document it is. So, you know what I'm saying? You know those 100-page wind farm documents? They'll probably wait. Any other questions about the recorder's office that I can answer for you? Again, we're on the second floor of this building. We'd love to see you pop in anytime with any questions.
Thank you very much,
All right.
Scadboys.
Thank you. Oh, I gotta do this.
Next up is Animal Control, Miss
Okay.
Julie Boudreau.
You're
I need a motion to combine and approve her September and October monthly report. Mrs. Parker. Mr. Stauffenberg. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. You're so excused, Mr. Vickery. Good morning.
Good morning. Have your reports here for you.
Need one?
October.
You skip these? All right.
Are there any questions on the reports that I can answer? I can, if I can point your attention to our rabies registration, seems to be staying up from month to month. For you know, the month to month it can sometimes be the same, but the overall for the year is staying up. As our bite investigations or bite numbers, I'm still pretty proud of the numbers down with in the animal section. You know, certainly we're always going to have a number of euthanasias as people come in and request that, as animals are sick or injured, and that service needs to be provided. If you see numbers that are up at all, they really are more related to the wildlife this year. I think we've mentioned that from month to month that the bat cases have, you know, were really high this year, as were that you can see we had 5 positive bats compared to 2 last year. So hopefully that's just a fluke this year and not a trend. And we're really proud of the shelter partners that we continue to make. They are our saving grace. You know, we're happy to adopt animals out, but we need to keep that cage space open as animals come in. So we're really appreciative of the partnerships that we make with shelters, both locally and throughout the state, and sometimes even breed rescues that are out of state have come down. We've built relationships with places in Michigan and Wisconsin, and they'll drive all the way down here to help us out when we're in need. So we're really appreciative of that. Our overall number of animals is a little bit higher that we've handled this year. And we still are pretty full with cats. I was looking at even our dog number last year was way down. We're staying pretty full right now. And, you know, the brunt of our population on the dogs is the pit bull and pit bull type dogs. I sure wish I had an answer to the abundant population of that breed. They can, certainly they're not a bad breed, but there's just so many of them. It's hard to place them all in homes. You might have seen in the paper the story on Stanley, who came to us, and we named him Flat Stanley because he was so thin. He was found with another dog abandoned or left at a dumpster. The little female did not survive. We worked very hard with the VCA, County West Animal Hospital. They tried. Their techs took the dog home nightly, but she just did not survive. Stanley did, and It's a Pity Rescue stepped up, and really they made a commitment to him, even though in our assessments he did show dog aggression, which did not surprise us from the environment that we think he probably came from. But he's a young dog, he loves people, and they made that commitment and went out and found that foster, and he was released just this past Thursday into his foster home. So yay for Stanley, and again, those shelter partners and making a difference. Yeah. Now let's see if I can do this. We've had a website with animal control. Certainly they're not fancy, but we recently have changed our website, and I think I had brought that information to the group, stating that this is going to be more linked directly to our software database that monitors and manages all of the rabies vaccinations, the citations, everything that comes in our office. Every animal that comes through our doors is not only, we still use our paper log, but it is also entered into our computer database. It allows this information to go right into this website, which can be really helpful. And we are excited about the fact that this website is a little more community friendly, that the community can get involved. A lot of times people, they've said to us, well, how do you know this or that about me? And, they're don't even realize that we do maintain some of this information. Or we get those phone calls from somebody at PetSmart that needs, they're there for their pet's bath and they don't have their rabies proof with them. This website will allow that person to be able to go on and email that document to themselves or print it off. So we're hoping that this will be just an opportunity for the community to be able to be more involved in their own pet's information. Certainly some of it is, we can't allow people to change their addresses and delete a pet. Sometimes when we're dealing with investigations and citations, that's documentation that needs to be, if it needs to be changed, it needs to be documented by us and a reason for change. Sometimes folks move a lot. So as you can see, this is the main page of the website. I have a picture of our 3 officers there. I'm very proud of them. They do a really great service for the community. They often are out there dealing with some of the same unfriendly people and sometimes pets. And I think sometimes they really don't get the credit that they deserve. So that is Officer Taylor standing to the left, and Officer Griffiths is kneeling down, and Officer Mantarian on the right. And this page shows our hours of operation, the field service hours, what to do, and who to call in case of an emergency. We do have our staff and some of our volunteers listed there. So just some information for the public. I'll come back to this tab, the second tab on my account, in just a moment. If I go to view adoptable animals, and we're certainly not professional photographers, so we're taking these pictures, they're cropping them, we're cropping them. I know the software guy said, oh, you need to do this and this and this. And we're like, that's just not going to happen. Basically, my shelter manager and I are the ones that are putting this information on this website. So we're doing that on top of our other tasks. But this will show you who's available for adoption. You can search by gender, you can search by age. If we move over here a little bit, I think size. You can go to previous or next. And these animals are also on Pet Finder and Adopt a Pet and things like that, but now they're not accessible very easily on our website. You can search by species, dog or cat. You'll see that our cat list is much bigger. We have another page. So we have, certainly have a lot of cats available, and some really nice dogs as well. And our lost pets, that was something that we often got a lot of criticism about, that we weren't putting these lost pets out there. People weren't able to see them. We had tried to add that to our old website. It was a little awkward. Well, this goes directly to our website as the animals are entered. All we're doing is literally, depending on how they're logged in, whether they're holding, we show that these animals are with us, and we've not had anybody come forward. They don't have a microchip or a rabies tag or anybody claiming them. This beautiful Doberman just came in the other day. Sure hope all of their owners come. This Rottweiler here has a severe swelling on the mouth. We've determined that we think that has to do with a tooth. He's got some age on him, and hopefully we can help him as well. I believe, of course, we could even put the horse and the livestock. I don't know that. Oh, there we go. We do have one. We have a miniature horse and we have a goat. Let's see if Kelly has that. Yep, there's our goat. They were abandoned on a property. Someone had passed away and somebody else thought it was a good idea to just put a goat and a pony on their property. So the niece called and said, hey, these aren't our animals. So is anybody looking for a pony or a goat?
Mr. Parker says you better quit this. No, because Mrs. Parker might be taking some of these home today.
And then it looks like she's doesn't have some of the photos for the cats. Usually our cats were taking pictures of them as they become available for adoption. Certainly it's a time factor of getting all of that information in there. And so as we go down these other tabs, we want to make sure that this information is out there to the public about different laws, where they are, why they are. I have a link for the Muni code so that you can see them in depth. I've also put those that I have found. Certainly I can expand on this as time allows, or other villages, if I can get their information. But if somebody's wanting to know, well, I live here, where do I find this information? I've tried to put a quick link there for folks. I've tried to put links to the Illinois animal laws. A lot of times, again, people are wondering, where do we get the jurisdiction or the authority to do this or that? So all of those links are there for folks to go to. And our SNP program, our spay and neuter incentive program for low income, that is there. You can click for an application. You don't even have to come in. It talks about all the requirements, whether you would be think that you would be a candidate for that or not. We have a place, certainly for donations, our events. We had Bark had a comedy evening last year in May. We have it scheduled again for March 10th. And we're going to be adding microchip clinics at our office on Thursday evenings. I think we're going to select one Thursday a month and be offering that. So those will be there soon. We have a wish list of things. People often say, what do you need? What are you looking for? So here's a nice list of things that we go through and often need a lot of. And we always need newspaper. And of course, we need that new facility.
Mr. Snipes.
I was about to say, I thought she had a misspelled word up there. It should have been SNIPES, Snipes.
Well, if you see any misspellings, please let us know.
Mrs. Parker.
Julie, I just want to say thank you for all the work you've put into this. This is one of the biggest goals that our advisory committee has been wanting to see, and is going to help with the education. As you well know, one of our goals is to educate the public about what animal control can do. And I encourage every board member, if you have a Facebook page, to please share this website on your page and let people know that this information is available, so we can get the word out there, especially for the lost animals, adoptable pets, livestock, and more. But there's just so much information there that people need to understand what can and cannot be done through animal control.
There is, and as we're going, you know, we've got information, just some fun facts about animals. I've got links to state, national agencies. I put our committees on here so that folks, if they want to know when this meeting is, it's here. The Animal Welfare Advisory Committee is there, and the date, and our fundraising organization. I don't have that most current meeting date on there updated. Just some community resources that, you know, what vets are in the area. So we've got the vets all listed. We've got the low-cost spay and neuter clinics, the private shelters that are in our area, so that they know who's out there, and a job opportunity. Still trying to fill that little part-time position. And who do I call? That's been that huge question. Who do I call? Why can't your county animal control, why can't you cover the entire county? That's been a real challenge to get folks to understand that there's jurisdictional boundaries. So we've put some information on there. We've given Buckingham the credit and said thank you for, you know, coming to with a formal contract. And we've put a link to the GIS map that lets them see that the gray shaded areas are the unincorporated. Those are our legal jurisdiction. And so that's just some really good information for folks, and we hope they take advantage of it. I'm going to pop back up here to this My Account, and this is where someone would be able to go and see the animals that are in their own file. You can create this account without a code number, but you can also get a code number from us as we are doing reminders. That code will be on those reminders. So I'm going to just log into my own account, and this is done with my county email. Hopefully I've remembered my information. I don't really need to. So you can see that I have my 2 cats here, and you can see that I have a red flag that indicates that I have 1 or more items requiring my attention. It shows that my cat Gary, he was a little city cat from the streets of Kankakee, shows that he's not current on his rabies. And he actually is. I have my documentation here. He is, but that was done at a local animal hospital. So all of that comes in, you know, on a monthly basis, and then we have to sit there and hand enter thousands and thousands of small pieces of paper registration. So it takes a little bit of time. Usually we get a little backlogged in the summer, we catch up in the winter. This program has the ability to work with the veterinarians, that they may be able to go to a link and enter this information electronically, which would immediately upload to this website. Working all the bugs out on that. We want to make sure that it's a tool that would be beneficial and helpful to them, not another step or not burdensome. So, and can their software, you know, exactly how all of the dynamics of that. I think we'll take this year to get there with that, but I'm hopeful that maybe some of those hospitals, especially our biggest ones, would take advantage of that, and that information would readily be there. Now, I was able, because I know that I had the information, I was able to go in and at least put my cat's vaccination information in. So if I want to say I wanted to see if I click on this. This will go show you the steps that if you went out of county and you really like your vet out of county and they don't carry our county tags, you literally could come and upload your rabies certificate and pay for your rabies tag without coming in. Once we get notification that that's been done, we can mail you out your rabies tag. So another convenience for folks that don't want to get out and about. I know somewhere on here, and I'm not sure if I can find it now. It will tell me that my cat is current, but it's not showing it completely because obviously that information hasn't been entered from the hospital as it comes over. But that's really our website. We will continue to work on it and add things. I'm sure I'll be adding a fee selection there so that folks know what our rabies tag fees are and what impoundment fees are. As they're changing, and we voted on that earlier. We're putting that into effect in January. So I didn't want to get too confusing, and we'll add that here shortly. Any questions on it?
Very good website, Julie.
Thanks.
Very good website.
Thanks. Other agenda items I had put on there about a truck, someone's interested. That's not being dealt with. We talked with state's attorney. It has to be posted, which is going to be done, and I think it will be on the agenda for the board meeting on the 29th.
You're gonna put a surplus truck?
Yeah, it's already been surplused, and it people aren't generally anxious to take our vehicles like they are the highways.
All right.
It has to be an official public auction.
Gotcha.
So we have to solicit bids. So if there is one offer, the public has to know there's other offers.
Right. And I just want to also mention Dr. McKay from Beecher Animal Hospital has served as our veterinarian administrator for about 10 years or so. He stepped up when none of the county vets would. He's been fantastic, but his doctor has told him that he's not quite the Superman he thinks he is, and we all think he is, and that he needs to step back. So he has resigned. We have a new vet. She came last Wednesday. I just have to get that final signed document. I've worked with the state's attorney on that. And I'm proud to say that Dr. Marcia Gortowski from VCA Aroma Park, some of you may know her, will be serving as our veterinarian administrator.
Great.
That's it.
Any other questions for Julie? Oh, comment.
This Animal Advisory Committee will be meeting Wednesday at 3 o'clock in the conference room on the second floor, and invite anyone who would like to come and watch some really good community volunteers working together to help improve and help Julie with educating and providing services.
I agree. It is a great committee that is seems to have blossomed into their roles, and it's going to be interesting to see how it blooms, I guess.
Yeah, I think we've found several common ground issues that we're excited to work on and improve.
I think one of the things I mentioned to Julie, that a lot of the people have told me that their eyes were open, that they were misinformed, and the communication at that table is really helping with the area shelters, and that's really been beneficial just in 2 meetings alone. So I'm excited for the years to come for this committee.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
So okay. Yes, he did tell me that. Assessor Eric Blair is not available to attend this meeting, so I need a motion to combine and approve his monthly reports that are in your packet from September and October. Mr. Payton and Mrs. Peters. All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Do I have any old business? Do I have any old business for the committee? Do I have any new business? Mr. Wheeler?
Thank you. Just briefly, I wanted to thank some county board members for some of the work they did outside of this committee. It was back on November 11th, Mr. Payton, Mr. Seroy, and Mrs. Weber went out to St. Anne to work with the boys basketball team and coaches on a Saturday. They took their own time and they walked 4 miles along the two main roads in Hopkins Park and to clean the area of debris. You don't see this a whole lot, so people getting actually, someone from County West joining folks from County East in a joint project. And you know, they filled a bunch of trash bags. They ate lunch together, so it's an example of things that I don't know if we've done it before, but it's just good to see that people are getting together to do good things. So I want to say thank you.
I thank Mrs. Weber for feeding us and Mr. Payton for allowing us to be in his district. And I know a lot of the young men and live in Mr. Payton's district, and I have the pleasure of, I always call it the 100 days. I have a pleasure of hanging out with these guys for 100 days, and we try to make sure that after that 100 days, they're better people and better citizens after that 100 days is up. And we've got a ways to go, but we'll get there. Mr. Payton, you can add to that.
I would just like to add that in Pembroke, everyone knows Todd as coach. He know more individuals out there than I do. Coach.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Thanks for the acknowledgement, but was not needed. Okay, I take a motion to adjourn. Mrs. Peters, back row. Mrs. Parker, we're front row. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Have a good day. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.